Hey guys, Drupad here. Welcome back to another episode of Thoughts and Opinions. And today's topic is quite interesting as I'll be speaking about lockdowns and why it is causing a global pandemic, why such situation arises. I hope I can make some sense in this video, and I hope I can give out some information to all the people who are watching this, and I hope I can make some sense as well. And I hope you guys are doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty well over here as well, and I hope we all get through this situation safe and sound. Alright, let us begin with our video for today. So why this situation, or why are we all sitting in a home right now? That started because of us humans going into forests, uh, you know, encroaching upon forest land, hunting wild animals, and consuming them, or agricultural lands encroaching upon forest lands, and the wild animals are starting to interact with the urban or the rural population now, since the population is also growing in the world. The amount of food that is being produced uh, has become, has turned into a shortage. So agricultural lands are now encroaching upon forest lands, and what happens when we tend to encroach upon forest lands is introduce new type of bacteria and new type of viruses that have never been seen um, before in the human host, uh, cause a global pandemic or a situation uh, that we all have to sit in our houses right now. And there's a reason why medical professionals and scientists and researchers tell you to sit at home. It's because these bacteria or these viruses uh, were only present in the animal host. They were never part of the human host ever. So what happens is, these bacteria, so these new viruses, tend to start aggressively attacking your immune system or your body, because they also have a tendency of uh, surviving. They also want to live. They don't want to give up without a fight, just as us. We always you know we also tend to survive any kind of bacteria or viruses or any kind of illness that comes into our body. We also tend to fight for it. So they also have the common tendency to fight for their survival. So they tend to act more aggressively to survive in a new host. And uh, why there are no vaccines or medicines for this? So if you go to a medical store or a pharmacy right now, most of our medicines were created for bacteria or viruses that were found 15 to 20 or 25 to 30 years ago. These medicines are for those kind of bacteria uh, uh, which have almost been there for 40, 45, 50, 60 years ago. And as we adapt to an environment or to a climate or to a situation, so do the bacteria, so do the viruses. They also uh, tend to adapt themselves to these kind of medicines or these kind of vaccines. They tend to have their own defenses around them, just as us. Like, we get a VPN just so that our internet doesn't get hacked or our Wi-Fi doesn't get hacked. It's the same for bacteria or viruses. They just develop a new kind of system within themselves to protect against these kind of these kind of medicines or vaccines. So there's a reason why your doctors give you a certain prescription for 15 to 20 days, and if you tend to there's this common perception that by the fifth or sixth day you tend to start feeling better, you're pretty proactive. Then you say, why do I need my medicine for another 15 or 20 days? It's just pointless. But the it becomes our fault then that we don't take we miss the rest 11, 12, or 15 days. That becomes a entry point for super bacteria, so super viruses. You might have killed 98% of the bacteria in our body for the 6 days. The rest 15 days are for those kind of resistant bacteria or resistant viruses which are more powerful to attack. So if you just stop it for 15 or 20 days, you're basically giving resistance to these kind of bacteria and viruses. It becomes our fault then. The next problem that arises with super bacteria and super viruses is that we don't have the medicines or the vaccines to attack or to prevent it, because to produce a medicine or a vaccine takes a long time. It's not an easy job. That that you are seeing today, that almost 6 months or 5 months, 7 months later, that you are going to get a vaccine for coronavirus. There is a reason to it as well, because most of the governments or the whole world is working towards finding a vaccine or towards finding a medicine or a cure for this. It does not happen for all the research, all the bacteria or all the viruses. There's a global global help towards finding a cure to this situation right now, and most of the funding, there's a lot of funding by the government to find a cure for this, which is not the same case for all bacteria and all viruses or all cancers. That is why they're able to roll out with a vaccine so quickly. But to develop a medicine or a vaccine takes almost 15 to 20 years, and it's not an easy job. So when new bacteria or new viruses start coming into the system, we literally don't have any kind of protection against these kind of things. And the first people that are going to get affected are people who don't have a good immune system, people who are who have asthma or some other kind of disabilities that restricts them to have to have a good immune system. People who have cancer, all these people, people who are really old, these people are going to get affected first. And it's a very sad situation that these people are getting affected first. Even a healthy person gets affected by it, but it takes a lot of fight. If the body has the willpower to overcome it, only then will the body tend to develop antibodies against this antigen or this bacteria or virus. So take your doctor's prescription more seriously the next time. So when a doctor tells you take it for 15 days, take it for 20 days, take it for the number of days that he has given it to you, or else we are at fault giving a direct pathway for these bacteria and viruses to get into the system and to affect a lot of people and cause a global pandemic. So the reason they also tell you to stay apart is because it doesn't, it doesn't adapt to the human genome, and part becomes part of a human genome, wherein it becomes another effort for the whole globe to cure it, just like polio or just like TB, uh, which is very difficult to cure right now because it is turning into a super bacteria because people neglected TB, and it is very, very difficult to cure tuberculosis. So don't let this current virus become, you know, a regular vaccine that people have to take every time. If you know, if it if it becomes part of, if it conjoins with the human DNA, then it'll take a long time just to get over this virus with a vaccine or with a medicine. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort just to eradicate polio or smallpox. It becomes the same case with the current virus as well. So be more cautious. Just imagine that you have the virus and that you have the responsibility. Just imagine that you have the virus and you have the responsibility of keeping others safe around you and keeping yourself healthy and fit um, during this period as well. So we all should make sure that nature is respected in a certain way. If you mess around with nature, nature is gonna give it back to you 10 times. She is gonna show her wrath uh, 10 times worse than what we have shown it to her. So be more respectful towards wild animals. um, I hope I could say this, and I hope somebody from the government also listens, that we can grow vegetables in a sustainable way. We don't have to encroach upon forest lands. We don't have to or go on a rampage on nature as such. And we have to protect all these endangered animals, and not to go hunt and kill and eat them. That is not what we are. And I hope everybody gets to understand this, and everybody needs to stay apart so that the other person stays safe around you. And don't over hoard, or don't keep things to yourself. Share it among other selves. Sharing is caring. That is what I have learned, and I hope others also learn as well, that you share something, and it might not it might not it might not seem a lot for you, but it makes a lot of difference for the people around you. So try to spread some love, call some people up, write some letters, uh, catch up with people, uh, write some books, write your thoughts down, make something new, uh, see how to fix your bicycle, see how you can make a chair, see how you can make a bed, uh, learn science, learn physics, learn arts, do whatever you want, dance, sing, uh, clean your house, be productive during this time, and be safe. And I hope I could make some sense of why a lockdown occurs and how the situation arises. Alright, I hope I made some sense, and I hope I could be helpful. Thank you. Stay safe.